And we're live.
Yes, we are. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar on how skill based hiring and then technology are changing recruitment throughout all industries. My name is Hugo Bernardes, and over the next hour, we'll be exploring how this shift is helping companies addressing some of the most significant challenges in the labor market today. I like to remind everyone that the chat is available and that we'll have time to answer any questions. So please do post your questions or comments in the chat. Skill-based hiring is no longer just a trend; it's becoming a crucial tool in today's fast-evolving job market. But how to implement it? With the 6% unemployment rate in Portugal, which leads us to a full employment, and with an increasing demand of reskilling workers due to automation, changes in job roles, and increasing turnovers, companies are realizing that the increasingly short pool of candidates obtained by traditional degree based CV hiring strategies does not meet their recruitment needs and often actually fails to reflect a candidate's actual ability for the job, regardless of their experience or nationality. It is therefore vital to find better ways to evaluate talent. Today, we'll be exploring and trying to answer quick questions such as how can companies ensure that they hire based on skills and not just on resumes? What are the common pitfalls of traditional hiring and how does skill based hiring address these? And how can technology actually help to implement engaging skill based hiring practices in different stages of the recruitment funnel? Joining us to discuss in more detail this today, we have the pleasure to have the Talent Acquisition Tech Top 100 Most Influential Persons. That's a difficult thing to say, Maya. Maya Huber, the co-founder and CEO of Tatio. So, Maya, once again, it's a pleasure to have you here. And before going on deeper on the subject, can you tell us a bit more about yourself and what led you to skill-based hiring, actually?
So, first of all, thank you, Hugo, for inviting me. I'm excited about this conversation and happy to see some people joining. So, I'm the CEO and co founder of Tatio. I come from recruiting myself. I spent 15 years in recruiting. And actually, this is also the backstory behind Tatio that I will share in a minute. But I will say that also all the PhD, my expertise is the future of work and job analysis. And I was doing my PhD and working as a recruiter. Back then, we were working for a huge government contract, and the government requested us to find tools that will enable us to assess candidates that come over to the interview and to be able to predict their ability to work with a specific job on that first interview. It was a government contract. We're dealing with underrepresented populations. So most, if not all, the people we met were out of the workforce for a long period of time. Resumes were not relevant. They have gaps in the resumes. So I was doing my research back then, going straight to the databases looking for tools. Everything I could find was questionnaires, and I thought that they were good. So I took them to the people, to the candidate that I met, and the experience was really bad because we were asking people about their skills and they didn't know. They were out of the workforce for a long period of time, so first of all, they were not confident, but not just that, their abilities and interests and skills have changed, and they could not define what they can do. And each every time they told us, "You need to tell me. You are the expert. You're talent acquisition. Tell me what I'm good at." So eventually, got really frustrated. I was sitting in my team, and in a frustrating sense of an aha moment, I told them, "What if we could just let them do the job already, right? We will know if they can do it or not." So this is what we did. Actually, we created those simulations of positions inside the space that we had. Not diving to the details, I will say that it was so simple in terms of simulation. It was, we needed resources because I needed my team to do that. But the prediction score was so good. We saw the people doing the job. We understood if they can do it or not. We did a match, and then we had the confidence to connect them with prospective positions. We did it for almost 5 years. After the contract was a success and was expanded, I decided that tech should do the manual work that we are doing on the simulation. And this is where we established Tatio. I will say that skill-based hiring, as I see it, is the first of nature. I think this is where the future is going. I always say that I'm wake up every morning with a mission that my kids will say that resumes is that thing that their parents send by fax, and they will laugh about it because it doesn't make sense anymore. And I think now with technology, we are ready to try something else. So I think that will be the background of what I'll share in a minute.
That's great, Maya. So, and when you came upon that need of recruit based on skills, that was a couple of years ago, and technology didn't still allow for you to have a full developed solution. Right. That's not the case anymore. And for the past years, with the evolution of technology and namely the capability of processing speed connected to IA, you were able to develop something which, it's pretty nice, I must say. So that's why we are also here with you, and to understand how can we use technology, either yours or someone else's, but in this case, particularly yours, because it's fully directed to recruitment and engagement and attraction. But how can you use this technology and make sure that we are actually selecting based on skills? And why is this different from other type of technologies that we see, namely, for example, situational judgment questionnaires, which nowadays got pretty common in the last couple of years?
So we will definitely touch that. I want to start with my presentation, but one of the things that I want to highlight is, for me, again, as a recruiter, the idea is to, even there's so many shifts in the workforce, in the recruitment, era right now. We're doing so many things. We're doing AI. We're doing engagement. There's so many buzzwords. D&I. For me, skill-based hiring is the infrastructure for everything, and I will try to explain that, but also to make it simple, because I think we can all agree, if we want something that will be our day-to-day, it should be simple, it should make sense, and also to have a mutual conversation or language or paradigm that is relevant both for job seekers and for and for the recruiting team as well. So I want to start. You mentioned the agenda before, but I want to start by jumping straight to the phenomena that we see currently in the market and the shift that we see in the last decade. I'm mentioning those because these are the reasons or the background beyond skill-based hiring. And there's not a surprise that became a force of nature, actually, right now. So one, as you said, Ugo, AI and technology, that's been talked a lot. I want to highlight that for me, the way I see it, and actually, analysts in the market, it's what's related to everything is the fact that we're trying to use technology to have a data-driven recruiting technologies and priorities and processes. Companies now understand there are some processes that are still manual, still even if they're automated, some of them are still not objective enough. So the idea is to have data to have a better decision making, and AI is an enabler for that. Next, of course, skill-based hiring, where there is a shift through the last decade to move from, as you said, resume to conversation about skills. One of the reasons for this is the skill gap in the market. The jobs that are out there are changing every day. There are more and more opportunities, and at the same time, companies are still struggling to find qualified working hands. Actually, when you also have job seekers, they will tell you in Listen Report that it's getting harder to find job. Something in the match is not working, and I think the workforce is aware of that and trying to change that. Third is the expectations of candidates. Candidates expect now to get value of the recruiting process. Engagement became a new term because this is something that candidates are looking for. Also, processes that are more transparent and provide value to them. And I will mention more about it when we'll touch engagement as a topic later in this conversation. And of course, DNI, that I think there is no one. Everybody will agree that diversity and inclusion is crucial. We want to make the company more inclusive and workforce more inclusive. Everybody knows there is a financial opportunity there as well. But at the same time, not enough practical tools to implement it in a day-to-day. So all of those phenomena are the background of implementing skill-based hiring. And they are here. Skill-based hiring is being talked for, again, more than a decade, but it's now becoming more crucial. I think it's the combination of everything I said before, and also the fact that the market and is evolves so fast. There's evolution of education opportunities as well. Reading resume do not relevant anymore, and the way I see it, one of the reason that skill-based hiring became now, again, a force of nature is because of AI, actually. Not because of the technology, but just because of AI, and we'll talk about that in a minute. AI is focused on text. AI is analyzing databases that we currently have that are text-based. And if we do not have for a company database that is focused on skills, AI tools do not provide this feedback or do not provide any efficiency there. So that's also a reason that skill-based hiring now are pushing more to find new tools to assess candidates, not just based on text. So I'm speaking with a lot of companies that are trying to implement skill-based hiring, and there's a few challenges that I see. First is to understand what are the skills, or to define the taxonomy. What are the skills that are specific per job? This is something complex, as sometimes companies take years and invest in. It drives a lot of engagement for the team, and it's something I see that it takes so long that teams are so tired finding the right taxonomy to implement skill-based hiring inside the organization. Then, once the taxonomy is there, you need to train the team. You need to make sure that all recruiting team members have the same language, they have the same objectiveness while analyzing those skills, and find the right tools. And going back to what you said a minute ago, there's a shift. The current tool seems to not 100% fit the current need of the new skills taxonomy. And of course, maintain this taxonomy throughout all the recruitment process. Each of those steps, we can talk about it for a full hour. But I will mention that afterwards. The way I see it, taxonomy is out there. You can use it. You can find tools that are more focused on skill than the others to make this process more efficient and more tailored to your organization. But before that, as we mentioned, skill taxonomy is step number one, right? I need to define the open positions, or not just the open, all the positions inside my organization, and to define what is the core skills per job. This is the infrastructure, or the first step before I even start communicating this job outside or assessing skills internally inside the organization. So I took a few examples, and again, I know that people here on the call, if you have questions, please ask me. So this is, for me, the core skills of a customer care representative. So I think when you look at it for a second, I'm trying to be really practical when I'm looking at skill practices and when we're using our own taxonomy at Tatio. At the end, if I need a customer care representative, it needs to provide a good service orientation skills. It needs to know how to glean information from calls, navigate computer systems inside the CRM, of course, to address customer needs, and to do commoditize the call. Those are the 5 main core skills that the candidate or the employee is doing that job needs to do. And crystallizing those top 5 make it easier to understand when I'm meeting a new candidate, what should be my expectations. Another example is in retail. Okay, I'm looking at this frontline sales retail associate. He needs to have, again, service orientation skills. You need to address the ability to address customer needs, to listen to them carefully and to find the right solution, but also to promote sales, to follow up protocols, and to organize and locate merchandise. Again, I think the way I see it, if I'll try to explain it even, in a more, I'm trying to make it simple to understand in terms of the difference. But when you look at that or compare it with taxonomy that talks about an ability to is motivation, or as sometimes I see teamwork, or I see general ability to sell, those are too vague. They're too open, they're too big. When I look at skills taxonomy, I try to get very, very, very practical and focus on what the candidates need to do and what are the main things they need to do in a day-to-day basis. Another example is the order picker, and I think you can follow and see again 5 main. Sometimes I go up to 7. But for picker, the ability to sort items, to locate them, to work in a speed and efficient way, to solve problems, and their attention to details. Truck driver, the same. I think those examples that, again, with the same strategy is here. Keep it simple, focus on the 5 or 7 main skills that are crucial for the job, and try to define them as the way that will look in the day-to-day. Another thing that I will advise, again, taxonomies are out there. We are using 2 of them with Tatio. Other companies are using others. Use the current taxonomy out there because the taxonomies are coming from the workforce. Those are evidence-based. You do not necessarily need to make them your own. Ugo, you have any question regarding this or something to highlight before I move forward?
Yes. So for what we've seen so far, well, it seems that this might be implemented, or this type of technology is very much task-oriented, right? So it's identifying main tasks, and main tasks are related to specific skills.
Right.
But how can we actually assess it and make sure that we can assess it well in an agile manner? And how can we make sure that we are actually assessing the skills that we are proposing?
Okay, great question. So before we'll dive a bit into that, I want to talk briefly about engagement because for me, you're asking about the way to assess skills. It's also the interaction of assessing those skills. Another shift that we see in the workforce recently is, not just in the workforce, actually, it's everywhere. The way we consume information right now is very different from the past. Everything is on the mobile, is short, it's very interactive video, little or no text at all. And still, and when you look at the current engagement processes, we know that the candidate engagement is crucial. The 70% out of candidates will say that employer brand is crucial, that game-like elements are crucial. If you look at this data, you see that something needs to be changed with the way we attract and communicate with our candidates because, and I know, Ugo, you're doing a great job with the key talent to bring, a strong employer brand and good recruiting marketing. But sometimes even when you start with good recruiting marketing, this is the common recruiting process. We see job descriptions on website and then, detailed more job descriptions, and there's emails and chatbots. Everything is text-based.
So no one stands out, right?
No one stood out, and actually,
everyone publicized the advertisements in the same in the same platforms, either international or national ones, and the advertisements are pretty similar to
Yeah, and actually, with AI right now, job description even became worse to read because everybody's using ChatGPT. uh,
Either to write the advertisement or to apply to it.
Absolutely. So the way I see it, there's kind it's kind of a spam phenomena for both sides. And I want to say, I'm talking about spam. No one do it intentionally. It's a result of technology, of automation, but there's a barrier there because, as you said, you cannot really distinguish between opportunities. Everything look the same.
Well, it's
Um,
actually the result of a new skill based, right? So
right?
it's how skilled am I as a candidate, for example, using the new tools that I have to apply, well, more times and more and to increase the probability of being reached out by the employer, right? So
Exactly. Um, and even companies, they want to look at skill-based hiring and to find those tools. Most of the tools out there are text-based questionnaires or situational. We touch those in a minute. But eventually, when you ask people about their skills in a subjective manner, for them to answer a questionnaire or a quiz, that do not reflect their performance. So the data type that we collect is text-based, which means it's subjective. It's not just subjective, sometimes it's being manipulated by AI. So I think this is something we should highly consider also when you choose the right tool to use for proper skill-based hiring.
yeah, well,
And
that is actually true. If we analyze from a historical perspective the reliability scores of situational judgment questionnaires, they are actually, from a psychometrical perspective, relatively low.
right,
But we accepted that because they worked a bit better than something else that we didn't have before, and so we will accept they were low, but they were reliable to
yeah,
a
this is
certain
what we
extent.
had. It's
Yeah.
the best that we
So,
had.
but their prediction, they are actually they predict, but well, it was as good as we get at the time. So, but we actually have new things down there, and new possibilities.
Absolutely. And we have no things, and we also have higher expectations from the tools that we are
That's
using.
true.
And I think it's not a surprise. Preparing to this webinar, I was looking for the data about the prediction of how does the candidate engagement market will look like. And I think it's not surprise that everywhere I looked, they're talking about gamification and virtual experiences. Because tech-wise, it's there, and there's an understanding that now in recruiting, we need to use those as well. Those are highly more predictive in every database and science that you read. And I think this is where the future is. So if I want to summarize for a second why text-based hiring is not enough anymore, is not sufficient anymore. One is the engagement side. It's outdated. It's hard to distinguish between opportunities, and we see there's no shows. Ghosting candidates are showing their lack of interest with their engagement. Second is the qualification side, because we know that candidates do not spend time reading their job descriptions. We know that we cannot really read or analyze properly resume because they're not necessarily reflect or being made by AI. And I'm not sure about yourself, but I was super surprised, when AI came out and ChatGPT, everybody assumed that this will be a tool that only tech people will use, but everybody use it. Everybody, everywhere. It's so simple. It's really a game changer and life changer for all of us. And of course, the fraud. And again, I want to highlight, for me, fraud is that no one tried to do anything intentionally bad. But with automation and with both sides trying to get bad outcomes, there's spam. Candidates are spamming us because they apply. It's so easy to apply. You can apply everywhere with a push of the button. And then, due to automation, we send them those personalized messages, try to automate this call, and we're spamming them as well. So it's the time for a new paradigm, a new way to assess. And just to close this subject, I will say that I think, and again, Tatio is one example, but overall, as a professional, as an expert, I think that it's now time to move forward to performance-based recruiting technology, not just skill-based and not just asking people about the skills, but adding another layer of performance on top. And where companies asking me, Maya, if I want to start, what should I do? I always tell them, just start with enriching your current database. Don't change everything. Don't start from scratch. You have database. You keep your text-based solutions, but add another layer of performance for them to compare and be ready with more evidence-based, performance-based data set to have a better decision making. So Ugo, maybe I now, with all this background, I want to touch you for a minute and give examples of how we see things and how we implement performance-based recruiting technology. Going back to your questions on how we can assess those skills that I mentioned before. So Tatio is a virtual job simulation platform. I'm not sure what the others have in mind, but this is not Meta glasses. Tatio simulation are easy, web-based, mobile and desktop-friendly simulations that candidates can try out the job before even apply in an experience that mimics the main core tasks of the main core task of the job within their context, in a simple, short, gamified way that for us is a combination of drive, higher engagement, more fun, relevant, value provide to the candidates, but at the same time focus on skills and what's crucial for the job and have the skills analysis at once. Lastly, I will say, as a recruiter, I know the importance of customization, and I always was looking for tools that will be reflective of my current business and the positions that I work with. So we are highly in customization. I will not get into it now, but technology that enable us to customize every simulation for every business easily and rapidly.
So Maya, as we are going to see, I think that it's important just to pinpoint that, well, this is not metaverse. Well, 2 to 3 years ago, metaverse was really big, and everyone was thinking that metaverse will be one of the answers for recruiting and so on. So it doesn't have anything to do with metaverse. It doesn't have anything to do with virtual reality. It is a simple, gamified tool and software, and gamified because it's not a game. So it's recruitment. It's a serious business. And so we do not involve games per se, but gamified elements. But most importantly, it's interactive. So the candidate, the assessed person, will be interacting with the tool itself during the time that is taking the simulation. So it's actually a simulation that, simulates the actual job that the person is going to perform to the company, right?
Exactly. And I have two videos for you. One is with few examples of simulations that we have, because I know sometimes it's hard to envision it. So, a few examples for them to see. And then I have another short video of a candidate doing one of the simulations. You will have another idea of how would this look like, what candidate is engaging with it. So I will start. This is a 1 minute video of examples of the simulation that we have. First of all, is customer care. You can see here, this represents a CRM of a call center where the interaction with chat, front desk in an hotel.
Hello.
Where in all those
could I get a wake-up call
scenarios
for tomorrow, please?
When you have
got an early flight, can't afford to miss it.
Person involved, they're doing live conversation with that person. Truck drivers, where we simulate their day-to-day work, and of course also the interactive side of the job as well. So it's anything from typing data, interacting with people, either clients or colleagues. This is healthcare.
Hello? I'd like to schedule an appointment. I have a rash on my leg. It's been a few days. Very itchy.
So
I
you
want to
see
see a
it now
dermatologist this week.
without the interaction of the candidate. You'll see one in a minute with the candidate, but just wanted you to see a few examples of what we have.
Hello. I have an appointment for today. They told me on the phone to come earlier to register. It's my first time here.
Next is retail. We have in retail different types of positions.
Excuse me, I have a question. I'm looking for a new sofa to fit my living room. We host guests frequently, so it's important that it can convert into a bed. Which sofa do you recommend?
With complexity, they need to track data, to read it, to provide a well-informed answer to the questions or the service they're about to provide. And lastly, we have in the warehouse space, this is a picker. Qualify objects, follow instructions, and also a super gamified
Go to aisle 72.
Of a full picking, packing position.
Shelf 41. Or magnifying glasses.
And as I said, everything you see, I recorded it for my desktop, but everything you saw is mobile friendly. It can be done from the mobile, except if the position is fully computerized and you need to test the candidate for CRM. As you'll see in a minute, I have prepared for you a video of a sales representative. So this will be fully embedded from the desktop. Oh, sorry.
So what we're seeing right now is that actually we are not presenting scenarios to candidates for them to choose a possible answer. We are actually embedding them within the situation itself if they need to act upon the situation within the context that is provided. So we are actually collecting data on the way that they act, not the way they think they would act.
Happy to help.
Sorry, Hugo, continue.
No, this is.
So I think that will be an example of what you said. I took a snapshot from one of our retail simulation with a candidate doing it live. So you're about to see.
Happy to help. It'll cost you $11.
Thanks. Can I use Apple Pay?
Yes, of course. We accept mobile payments.
Oh, I forgot. My wife asked for granola bars. I always forget what she asked for. What section is it in?
No problem. You can find them in the dry goods section.
Is there a certain type you would recommend?
Absolutely. There's a great deal on JoJo granola bars. Buy one, get one free.
Thanks. I'll check it out. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
So in this simulation, candidates is being required to do what a salesperson in a grocery store will do, which is provide service to prospective clients, push sales and information, and also locate items and find them within the shelf. This is what we simulate. Simulation for those type of positions. When I'm saying those, I mean those volume hiring, entry level, not professional positions, where candidates sometimes have less attention to do full or even questionnaire that takes a lot of time. Our simulation are short, 3 to 5 minutes. They can do it from their mobile. They can be in the store, scan it with a QR, do the simulation at the same time, and then the data will be there. In a minute, I will share how we analyze the result. But first of all, I wanted to highlight two things here that related to Tatio, but not just. One, the way I see skill-based hiring is it should be focused on what recruiting team could not assess. Recruiting team is for organization are expert in analyzing the culture, maybe the engagement or the ready of the candidate to work and be committed to that job. There's a layer of what it will be able to perform or not. This is missing in the process. And this is what we are trying to add. And if not us, I'm advising companies to add this missing part of the recruiting process that enable us to understand the performance and not spend time and resources on candidates that are not capable of doing the job.
So immediately from a short-term perspective, you are making sure that within the funnel, we are considering the ones that are actually better fit from a performance-based perspective for the job, because we are actually simulating the type of context and tasks that the person will find once selected to the job and put on it, right?
Yeah, and I think one of the I want to stop it for a second. One of the things that we hear from companies commonly is the fact that they are afraid when candidates are doing that, it's another step, they will not be engaged in this. So I have this answer for that because we actually see higher engagement with using our simulation. But another angle of Tatio, and we'll jump into that in a minute, that we also drive in candidates that didn't consider the job at the beginning, or the job opportunity was not even visible to them because it looked the same between other job opportunities. So actually using Tatio from the top of the funnel enable also to increase the application rates. You can see here on the right how the simulation looks from the mobile. Mm-hmm. And I want to highlight a few things that are crucial for me as a recruiter. One, using Tatio, and actually every tool that you will assess in the future, please make sure that it is seamlessly implemented into your processes. Candidates do not need to sign in again. We make sure that companies work with us, just implement Tatio wherever they want, top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, and we do not take the candidate away to other processes that drives them out of the process. As I said, the experience is fun, is insightful. At the back hand, we're doing the qualification as well. I'll touch that in a minute.
So by the end of the day, it's a two-way approach, because on one side we are giving the recruiters a possibility of adding another layer of assessment prior to the contact with the candidates that will give us a predictive score of how good he will perform or not, or how good he did perform with the simulation based on our context. But on the other way, we are providing the possibility of a test drive to candidates for the positions, and they might be sure if there's something that they would like to perform or not, or which positions should they consider to apply. It's pretty common within candidates to reach so a candidate a client recruiting page, and there's a lot of open positions. That's pretty common in a lot of markets, and they don't really know what to apply.
Right.
So because if they don't have previous experience, or if their experience it's not relevant for what they're applying, they don't really know what to apply and what they would be better fitted to. So this can provide them as well a test drive and a better understanding, and actually guide them to, you're a better fit to this position or that position.
Right? Absolutely. And there's another thing to that. What we hear from candidates are words like transparent, objective, of course, fun and gamified. Mm-hmm. But the fact that they are being judged by they have the ability to put their skills up front and be judged by their skills is something they highly appreciate. And when jumping back, to employer branding and D&I and being more open to different people, inside the organization, this is an enabler to do that as well. Last thing I will say, Tatio simulations can be relevant for any job in the organization. This is one of our opportunities here. You do not need, you work with Tatio, you start with one position or a few, but the technology is feasible for every position that you have out there. You will not need to consider another tool, and that will enable you to test all your workforce and candidates in the same tool, building this infrastructure of skills that is missing currently. I do want to touch with a few examples of how you can implement Tatio from the top of the funnel and the middle of it. With some, afterwards I have some business case, you will have time. But first of all, top of the funnel. And this is an advantage here because most of the tool out there can be used only as a qualification tool, not as an attracting and engagement tool. And the fact that you can use Tatio for both point of processes in the recruiting process enable you, again, to have an objective and straighten on the line in the field with one objective taxonomy for all the processes. So the idea of using Tatio at the top of the funnel, first of all, is to attract more talent, to increase candidate engagement, to surface this hidden talent pool. People were not considering to apply and then consider now that they see that the job is attractive, or because it rises above the noise and suddenly they have experienced the job invite and not just apply invite. So this is an example of something we did with Hyatt, how you can implement Tatio, first of all, in social media ads. So if you have it on the top, invite people on social media instead of apply to invite them to try out the job. So you click here and you're immediately directed to Tatio application process. This is a banner on a website. It could look like that. Again, this is just a simulation of an appearance of how it can look. On the application page, try out the job button. So I think this one will be interesting for the audience, because this is exactly how we do it in a way that do not interfere with the current recruitment processes. As a recruiter, I know I already have something working. It's not great, but something is working. I don't want to lose it. So what we offer our companies implementing skill-based hiring for the first time, or Tatio for the first time, is to add this as an option. People can apply now or try out the job and see if that drives different type of engagement within your audience. And of course, inside the ATS. I will show in a minute, but we proved that putting Tatio at the top of the funnel increased application rate by 20%, and also the engagement rate throughout the funnel, and of course, the end result of the hiring. Any questions or thoughts on that before we jump to the middle of the funnel?
No, I don't think that we don't have any questions, but audience, please feel free to ask wherever you feel.
I'm asking because I see my presentation. I do not see the screen, so just to make sure. Okay. So middle of the funnel is more about qualification. Of course, with Tatio, candidate engagement is always there. So even if you send Tatio as a qualification step after the first phone interview, you will see that more candidates will show up to the physical interview and to the first day of job. Tatio at the middle of the funnel enable also an objectiveness between recruiting team, making sure everybody assess the same thing, and of course, a more effective process. And here I'm going to jump a bit to our analytics, and I will not do it, too deep, but just at a high level. First of all, as I said, the data and the science behind it is a combination, of course, my PhD. We also backed by Harvard, Professor Joseph Full from Harvard Business School, who leads the Future of Work project. The Harvard is working with us. The way it works is throughout the performance of the candidates, just to say the interaction is very positive. They do not get errors. We do not, stop them. They're doing their flow, and at the back then we analyze their performance. What do they analyze? What do we analyze? We analyze everything we do, everything they write, everything they will say. We do not take their picture. We do not do video or emotional analysis of their video. We take what they said, what they typed, the answer to questions, time, process, what they did first. We are tracking the string. And everything is, we collect 150 data points averagely. And everything is being gathered in the back end to those scores of 5 main core tasks that I mentioned before. And we compare candidates, first of all, just based on their internal organization. We do not share or compare data between companies. So that enables each company to create its own data set of skill-based hiring and taxonomy. This is an example of a report. I took something for hospitality, hotel waiter here. Again, I will not dive deep into that, but what I will highlight is that our reports are simple to read. This is not a psychological test. It's not about traits. It's about doing the job or not. We will provide you with a high-level prediction score and some detailed data regarding their ability to perform those core skills of the job compared to other candidates within your organizations. Eventually, companies work with us for a long period of time, trust the prediction score because they know that we are validating it based on the data that come from their current workforce. And of course, in the progress conversation, I can dive on that. But we're using a feedback loop in AI and machine learning to make sure analytics fits a specific organization over time. Another thing I want to touch is our work on staffing and recruiting. We have extensive experience on the staffing industry, both with the top and the middle of the funnel processes. One of the two opportunities that with staffing and recruiting that it's not common on other companies. First is the fact that we can take one general simulation and do multi-matching for different opportunities within that staffing organization. So candidates can do one simulation for a picker, and then we can match him to all the opportunities inside the organization and do some multi-matching work with that. Also, we have staffing agencies that took our tool to do re-engagement of their non-active users. And this is common with staffing agencies. They have database of candidates that, sometimes reached out, they have the data, they're not engaged with them. Using Tatio, they can reactivate this pool, inviting them to a new experience, and actually not just get more new candidates over, but also to
re-qualifying candidates.
Exactly.
Maya, hello everyone. Maya, we have a question for you. It's coming from Joanna. And Joanna, thank you for the presentation, but she asks if Tatio is prepared to integrate with an ATS. You already showed an integration there, but can you talk a little bit more about how integrations work with Tatio?
Sure. We are fully integrated to any ATS with an anonymous login process that candidates and companies can use to use their current databases and to have a fully seamless interaction from the candidate point of view. We're using not just the integration. It's not just about the tech side of it that it's easy, because it's a link that eventually you implement and it's easy to use. We have a lot of experience with this, but also we use the company brand and the company's everything, visuality as well. So from the candidate point of view, it's seamless. From the recruiting point of view, the data goes back to their ATS and reaching their current data that they have on these candidates. Absolutely. And thank you for your question.
Maya.
Yeah. So lastly, I want to talk, I know we have around 5 to 10 minutes. This is just an example of our work. I will say in that step one, we work across industries. So everything you have in mind, retail, hospitality, truck drivers, logistics, manufacturing, also anything regarding engineers, everything that you need on sales, customer care, telecommunication. Again, anything you can envision in the workforce, we can simulate from entry position to a more. We have some work on early talent as well. So the process for each position is pretty simple. We get a job description, get your ideation of what you want to see, what you want to simulate first from your database. We take it, we provide you with an offer of how we can simulate that position. We enhance it, and then the simulation is ready to go. And we customize it over time to your needs. General data that we have. Using Tatio from the top of the funnel increased application rate by 20%. Why? 2 reasons. One, it's attractive, inviting people to try out the job. And second, people see this as an opportunity to put their skills up front, and people that their resume will not cross the bar, sometimes their Tatio performance do cross the bar. We have 50%, again, averagely, 50% conversion rate from application to interview. People show up more, and then 70% retention rate for candidates who are using Tatio and are engaged in the workforce in 90 days. And of course, this is average when we look in the market where at the baseline of it, there's high turnover rates. We are making a change there as well. We proved to have a faster recruiting process, implementing Tatio in the recruiting process, make a more efficient way of recruiting the team. Sometimes company to work with us, reduce some of the steps they were doing before, and spend time, as you said, Ugo. The idea is to spend time only on relevant candidates that will show up to work and improve their ability to work over time.
We have another question, Maya, just before we go. We have two more questions, actually, but let's go one at a time. So Joana Adriano asks, on average, how long does it take for the candidate to go through the assessment?
It depends on what we create together. We have simulations that take a minute, and we have simulations that take, the average is 3 minutes. And it can go up to 20 and 30 if it's more complex. So the length of it, what we measure, is something we build together. It could be short to long based on the company needs. With volume hiring, I'd advise to do it short and testing what is crucial to be tested prior to the job.
So it depends also a lot on which stage of the funnel we are and the aim of the simulation itself. Because in the end, you can have this type of simulations not only for recruitment, but for developing and assessing potential as well, because you can actually create something pretty close to a business case, right? So it depends a lot on how you're using it and the objective of using it. We also have another question, right, Miguel?
Yeah, so the second question, Maya, is from Joana Temudo again. Thank you, Joana, for being so active. And she asks about, are you prepared for the current legislation related with GDPR topics here in Europe? Yeah, so this is
yes, absolutely. This is also part of the collaboration we have with the Key Talent. Absolutely. We stand with GDPR and ISO 271011.
Yes. So we currently within our own platforms we have Tatio integrated, and that for the time being solves entirely the GDPR, European GDPR subject. But Tatio itself is foreseeing to have within the first Q of next year to be fully GDPR compliance as well.
Right.
They're pretty much GDPR compliance, but they do not have a certification yet that they are now putting in practice.
Thank you. For the current time, this is what we have in regards to questions.
Okay, great.
So, any specific examples of business cases that you can talk that you can show us? Maya?
Sure. And I want to show you an example about what we did with IKEA. I want to say something about I don't have a slide about it, but about AI and compliance and everything like that. First of all, we are highly committed to any regulations regarding AI as well, with your audits and processes to make sure everything is stand with compliance and the legal aspect of that. Most of our work so far was in the United States. We started Europe 6 months ago. This is the reason GDPR takes time. But again, we solved it with our partnership together. So we meet the expectations there as well.
So Maya, just a brief reminder that we have 6 minutes and that the webinar will close by itself by that time.
Okay. So quickly walk you through the process with IKEA. So IKEA reached out to us for a few reasons. One of that was to qualify their pool, to make sure they have enough qualified candidate to meet. They wanted to increase their application rates and, of course, the engagement, and to make their recruiting process more efficient and faster. Also, one of the reasons they wanted to work with us is to create this standardization within their teams to make sure everything meets expectations and the same standards in recruiting process as well. The process with them, and again with every company, we took the core task of the position of a sales associate in IKEA. Back then, they didn't want integration, so they were working with Tatio platform. That's optional as well. And the way it worked, that the simulation was sent to candidates after the application was sent. So candidate applied, and when the application was done, they got to receive an email or text message inviting them to try out the job. The candidates who performed well were invited to an interview. You saw the simulation a minute ago as well, but we simulated 3 different, you can see are in the top, 3 different clients that are trying to get service in IKEA with different type of needs. Some of them more complex and some are not. The result were, first of all, 71% of candidates completed the simulation. So high engagement rate of doing this test throughout the recruiting process. 80% of them showed up to the interview. Before that, we have 50%. So increase their engagement within the recruiting process as well. Time to hire was faster. One of the things that we got, and we see it within our clients, that hiring managers' feedback is good, that they have something to work with. Sometimes the hiring managers sitting in this, local franchise do not have a recruiting team with them. They have the confidence to look at the same data and have an infrastructure even for a better interview as well. Retention was higher, and overall the candidate experience was very well, with high appreciation of the transparency and the ability of the company to push skills. I'm not sure if any of you follow IKEA, but IKEA is highly committed to D&I, to innovation. So that was also one of the things they wanted to meet while working with us. Last sentence I will say, going back to skill-based hiring, it's not just about being more professional, it's money saver. Companies get more efficient with skill-based hiring. It's being implemented across the globe, and employees across the world are now implementing this. We know that candidates are looking for those tools more than the others. So I invite any of you who are interested in this to continue the conversation. You can reach out to me as well through LinkedIn directly or through Hugo. And I want to thank you, Hugo, for having me.
Well, but before finishing, Maya, something that no one asked, but I'm going to ask. Is this hard to implement? Does it take 6 months, 1 year?
Oh, no, really not. Implementing Tatio is easy. Creating the simulation takes few days or few weeks, 2, not even more than that. The process works like that. We meet, we define the positions we want to work with. Mostly we have the simulations ready, so you just need to adjust. Once that is adjusted, we send you a link that is relevant for you. We implement into this process.
Yes, and that's actually one of the benefits and one of the differences that Tatio has, right? So it's not only being, skill-based AI assessment, but the engine that they developed for the development, that they created for the development of the simulations, allows us to be really agile in the development and implementation. So
Hugo, as I told you,
as well.
As a recruiter myself, I knew that if I'm building something, it should be easy, easy to use, easy to create, and agile, because this is how our work is, right? So.
Well, so many thanks, Maya. Many thanks as well to everyone that attended this session. We hope that you took something out of it and that it was a benefit for you. And we will keep in touch. Get in touch with us if you wish to know a bit more or if you wish to try it out, because you can always try it out. We can send you some examples for you to try the simulation itself. Okay, best of wishes and take care.
Thank you, Hugo. Have a great day, everybody.
Have a great day, everyone.